One thing I have not talked about is that my landlord went in to have me served for eviction yesterday. Yes, that's right. It's just a cherry on the top of what I go through. My landlord was a little upset that I deducted $300 and something from my rent because I had to leave here. It wasn't inhabitable in my abode because the toilet wasn't working for almost 6 months. And it got to the point where I couldn't even go anymore. And he refused to help me, said it was my problem. I said it was a water pressure problem. But anyway, I did have to leave, and I did deduct about $350. And so he went to court. I did tell him a few years ago, I'm in my 7th year. I'm in my 8th year here. I moved here November 1st, 2018. And it has been a living nightmare because it is a landlord's economy. Like, they don't have to take care of you, especially if you're English, because, I don't know if you know, in Quebec, they will only really deal with you in French. And I do have some problems since I had a stroke with my short-term memory, and I can't seem to grasp it or keep it, I can barely do conversational stuff. But that's sad because I really wanted to learn. Anyway, at some point, the first 2 years were a nightmare because he let me live with rats. Like, they were crawling on my counters and eating my bananas. So it was a nightmare. I had nowhere to go, though. I emailed him once and I said these words. I said, some people know the value of $1, and other people know the value of a good tenant. I mean, I keep my place very nice, and I paid my rent on pension day, which is always a few days before the 1st. He had it made with me, and I never failed to pay the rent, no matter what he put me through. The rats for 2 years. And then he started new construction. He rebuilt the outside of this apartment dwelling, and he did it by hand using a construction saw against metal and glass for 4 freaking years. I was vibrating in my apartment with noise, construction noise, and he didn't care that it was any time from 7 a.m. until dark. Sometimes that was 9 o'clock at night. It was horrible, guys. But I couldn't move. I had nowhere to go. I couldn't complain. Only in French. And when you don't have a voice, you email your landlord and say, some people value their money more than their tenants. And then he moved somebody new in, and they don't care how often they show up at my door. They never give 24-hour notice. And anyway, I'm not going to go over everything that has happened, but let me just say that it has not been easy, but I am a woman, and I'm able to create comfort for myself and my family. That's what we do, women. That's our job. We are the comfort creators. We make homemade foods. We sew clothes. We organize the family because they'd all be scattered everywhere. We can multitask and do 5,000 to 5,000 things at once. Women are able to read what the family needs. She is intuitive and connected to the heart of the family. Unless, the husband doesn't value her contribution. He's more physical and lean. He has a skeleton of a male. She has a skeleton of a female, which means an entirely different skeleton. And she can't really keep up. She tries. I see women running all the time, doing physical things, doing sports. That has not always been the way, my friends. Women are not your physical beings. And if she is not valued for what she could bring to the table, it's going to be a miserable household for the children, because there they have two physical beings who don't care about the heart, don't care about comfort, and lose their empathy, their feelings. And they go more by policy and law than they do by the heart of their loved ones in the family. And don't get me started on rules. You start breaking rules, your whole family could just walk away, because the rule is important, And if you're disobeying rules here, laws or whatnot, and not going along with what everybody goes along with, then nobody will associate with you. Right? I know, because it's been my life. I've always been a bit weird that way, walking alone. I failed grade 2. I was a very awkward child. But at the same time, I was being very severely abused. Emotionally not connected to my mother, who couldn't read me, and removed from my biological father because divorce is easy. Walking away is easy. There's no value at home. So, in his eyes, right? There's no value. If he's not able to be married to somebody just like him, or she is not able to be married to somebody just like her. We are different beings. And to not appreciate or value one or the other is really living with half a brain, guys. Because together, one can come up with the ideas. One can, plan, organize, and create. And the other one can physically get it done. I couldn't. I can't even do division. I can't do construction. I can't do technical work. My left brain, I never trained it. Well, I couldn't, maybe, because in grade 10 I finally dropped out. I couldn't stand the curriculum. What am I doing there? Getting headaches all day, trying to learn algebra. What for? I knew at the time that I would never use it. I'm not interested in it. And women really only want to do what they're interested in. And what's wrong with that? Gentlemen, why can't we do what we want? So men are logical, they say, and, they don't like to rock boats. So if she's rocking a boat about something, he gets antsy. He wants her intelligent like him. Some people know the value of their children's mother, and they treat her with respect and kindness, and they bring her flowers. He could change a bit and bring her something. Because she appreciates those kinds of gestures. Women do, no matter what they try to tell you, they do. They want to look good. They want to feel good. And when they don't feel good, they feel they look horrible. And then they do look horrible. And then the man has a horrible looking wife wearing sweatpants, no makeup or jewelry, and flopping around the house trying to find a pill or a beer to escape the reality that she's been forced to live for thousands of years. Because he's the physical image of God, he said. Is he? I don't think so. We want to put an image to God, and so we give it to one gender or the other, right? But what if it's just the feeling of love, of mutual understanding, of wanting to build a paradise for future generations? And we want to create, for me anyway, as a woman, I want to create genius children, ones who don't learn from me, for Christ's sakes. That's not enough. No, I want ones that have open minds and can do their own research. I have often said when I was teaching employment and career planning and running job clubs in the 80s and 90s, I would tell my students that it's a game out there, and you have to get to know the rules of the game, and then you can work around them. And the best advice I could ever give people is to do what you want to do. Now, I told them if I was their mother, if I had a chance to do it all over again, I would open the door at 7 years old and say, go and do your own research on anything you really want to learn. Go and do your research. Discover. Travel. If there weren't so many predators out there, children would be safe to go fishing and learn about the ocean and fish, or, just so many things that we could be doing. I remember in grade 8 suddenly getting some choices in domestic things like home ec, where we got cooking and sewing for 3 months each. 3 months out of my whole education, cooking and sewing. That wasn't enough. I never would become a cook or a seamstress with that. And it wasn't even enough to get me interested, really. So they weren't offering anything for me, or other women for that matter, other girls. So she could get distracted easily and focus on boys But if she is able to train her brain to do the math and to be physical, then they have managed transhumanism. They have managed to merge men and women as one figure. And that, my friends, is a crying shame. Because no matter how hard we try, I can never be a man. And a man will never have the feelings or the creator of a woman. He can't have it. And so I find people men really get jealous of women, especially at the end years when he no longer has the physical ability that he once did. But she is still able to create comfort at home. By now, everybody's divorced once, twice, 3 times. It was all done in front of the children, screaming, telling each other that they don't value each other. And then comes the value of money again. You know, the fighting over child support and or alimony. You know, no, you better go to work now, lady. So instead of raising the family, she's off to work. I owe, it's off to work I go. I can't whistle or I would. So, but I'm going to do a poll on my channel later today and ask you, do you value more people or is it money? It's a rhetorical question. Nobody can see your vote. So I hope you do participate so that we can see if people are honest, because everybody can be honest. If we can see truly, if you get down to brass tactics, what do you value more? Money? Things? Property? Or people? And I can already hear the men arguing. They say, well, you can't, yeah, blah, 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 you can't, yeah, logically, no, he will argue that that's not a fair question, but I suggest it is. Because I don't care if you're a man or a woman. If you're not valuing people over things, you've barked up the wrong tree all life long. And it's going to catch up with you, just like it's catching up with my landlord today. You see, there's more places coming up for rent. And I also studied business and was quite good at it because I could organize it, right? In fact, I became the branch manager of our job club because I could organize the whole lease for our services, our government services. I knew how. I was an operational, logistical manager too. I never went to school for it. I just did it. So, where was I? My short-term memory. It'll come to me. I got a white bird up there and it's talking to me. I don't know. I'm crazy. I talk to birds. I talk to squirrels. I talk to flowers. And they emotionally look after me. At least in my thinking, I have found ways to cope with being abandoned by my family for having too many feelings. They just couldn't stand it anymore. And so they were easily able to let me go. And I've really been alone ever since. So I talk to the birds and I feel like they're looking after me. Now, if that's crazy, who am I hurting? And if you tell me I'm crazy, why do you value hurting women? Why do you want to shame women for being different? It'll make you very lonely in the end days. Where was I? Something about the leases where the tables have turned, right? And all of a sudden, there are tons of places to rent. So he's gone off to get me out of here because he's the big man and he hates to be wrong and he hates to be confronted or told to do anything. And he sure hates that I didn't pay $330 in August. So he was going to go get his rights. And yesterday, I didn't go to court. I didn't bother showing up. I don't care what happens. I trust in the universe. And it's never failed me. I'm like fluid. You want me gone, I'll go. But I don't think he realized how quickly I could go when that whole building, the big, huge brick building over there, they got 6 units they can't rent out. It's already starting in Quebec, where they've stopped or slowed immigration, and that has led to, more, apartments opening up. In Quebec, I don't know how many people own a house. I really don't. There's not as many. It's more rental and lease than it is ownership here. It is a civil province, civil law. And I studied law. I went to first year. Well, actually, I went to 2 years, but I didn't finish the second, in criminology and psychology. I couldn't get beyond that because I can't think like an academic. That's when they start going into bullshit and people don't matter anymore. Now it's all about history. Now it's about creating policy and science, artificial intelligence. And I'm just not into it. And I don't have the brain for it anyway. So the tables have shifted in Quebec. I don't know where you are. Maybe let me know in the comments if you noticed that there are more rentals for people in English Canada, because I'm out of the loop. But I know in Quebec the tables have turned. And yeah. So anyway, guys, I think that was all. Every day I create comfort. Today I plan to make chicken with batter, like battered chicken. And I take my time because there is no time. Some of my meals take 2 days to make because I take my time and create something really good for myself because I'm not cooking for anybody else. So I do it for me now. And I see the male neighbors next door and across over there. They get a lot of food brought into them, pay for it from a restaurant. And I just think that's so sad when you can know what ingredients are going in your mouth if you have a homemade cook at home. But if she wasn't valued, then he's probably lost in space. And their children, I don't know, probably a mess emotionally because they need the stability and respect of a mother and a father together. I remember when my dad left when I was 4. My heart literally broke in half. Like I cried for years and never got over it. It's not right, And whose fault it was both not respecting each other. You can't place it all on one person. You can't judge because you don't know the other side of the story, right? People judge me all the time. They think they know me just by words I say. They think they know my heart. Well, they create that image in their own mind. That's all they'll ever see is somebody ugly. They can't see me beautiful, which I think I am. I really do. I'm 100 pounds. I'm a 34B like I was at 15. My hair is long and flowing, and it's fine like a baby. My skin is smooth, although my face is full of wrinkles, and I have no teeth. That's a problem, But the rest of me is good. It's just I have aged, and I appreciate that I have aged. Both of my parents lived until they were 68 years old. A few years past retirement. And it's time to go. They're not a drain on us. And so they died by 68. Both of them within 2 years of the same thing, lung cancer. And left a bunch of orphans. My mother cut me out of the will because she didn't like my dad. And I'm a lot like my dad, which today I'm really quite happy about because my dad never followed the program. He was a rebel without a cause. He did his own thing. He loved music. He loved to dance. He brought Cracker Jacks to children. He was safe around children. He was my dad, and I value him more than my stepfather's money, because my mom sacrificed me to my stepfather, replaced him, my dad. And she won't really know this, until she's restored. When she crosses over, nobody dies. We become aware. We get a life review, and we literally feel the pain that we inflicted upon our loved ones. We don't even have memories of our property or artificial intelligence. We only have memories of the people we love or used to love. So I hope I encourage everybody to bring love back into your home. And as far as step families go, in my personal experience, they don't feel human. Not in my experience. And whether that's true or not, I don't know. That's just my experience. They have treated me, they took everything, and then they threw me to the curb, and they ruined my name and my reputation while they did it. Both sides. Both my mother's new husband and my father's new wife. And their kids are rotten. And I feel sorry for them because they value money. They do not value people. And I don't know what you're teaching the kids at home, but they're going to follow your example, right? They're one or the other of you, they're going to follow you, mom or dad. And I don't know if you want that. But there is a way that you can restore your own family. And all it takes is one phone call, one emotion to open a floodgate. But nobody wants to express love. People are too involved in feeling ashamed of expressing love. If you are ashamed of love, I urge you to do some self-discovery, self-awareness. Okay? Anyway, I think I'm talking too much. You know what? This is how I get help. I counsel myself by expression. Talking out loud really helps. That's counseling.